Hello there, my name is Richard. The first time seeing my channel, I used to review cartoon series, anime series, or something completely random, and today we're going to talk about Tiger and Bunny Season 1 and Season 2. Now, if it's the first time you hear Tiger and Bunny, it's because it came out back in 2011 and only have a total of 25 episodes. But the manga actually have a total of 7 chapters and also started in 2011 and ended 2014. You also have 2 movies called Hero Rise and Hero Begins, and also the video game adaptation of PSP, PlayStation, and I think that's it. That's all. Oh yeah, there also was basically a movie adaptation from Netflix from Tiger Bunny, not yet released. But besides that, how is the franchise in total? You have to say pretty good. I mean, especially the anime, especially the first season. When you start watching it, it's kind of slow in first, that because you don't know what's going on. It's trying to build, so you kind of have to get a little patient. But when it gets there, you can be impressed, because this is a series that really loves superhero genres or superhero sort of cliches, but make it sort of a unique idea. Now, the story or how the world built of this Tiger Bunny world is basically this network has Hero TV, who hire heroes who have special abilities called Next. But the reason why the Hero TV was created is not to demonize the people who has powers called Next that sort of be unpredictable. So to give it more credibility, more protection, at least understanding what is a Next is and should not be feared, that created this sort of system to show how heroes are, and basically glorifying being a hero. But I love it does actually ask a lot of questions that sort of interesting things, like you think this is okay or not to brand people as heroes but use them as sort of superstars, like brand them, putting logos on them, selling songs, games, food. But sometimes it's sort of kind of odd and disturbing, because how each hero, or at least the people who run Hero TV, sort of approach this. Like, the more ratings or more danger, so keep rolling, don't stop. Even in the moment the hero trying to save someone, it's sort of disturbing how director or producer acts, like keep recording everything, every single thing you actually put on. But it also has some own backlash. One of the great example is what happens if a hero fails, or all 7 heroes fail on television, and you have this other stranger who has Next powers doing their job, becoming judge, jury, and executioner, and allow people to not trust the heroes doing their job, what they're doing. Why not just eliminate the criminal? But you realize the criminals sometimes do things because in necessity, or someone forcing them to do it for saving their own family members. And that's sort of the gray area. I love superheroes that go that deep, that sort of question that is this the right thing to do or not. Especially you have this anti-hero called Lunatic, who keep repairing once in a while the whole first season, trying to convince this is the right way, do it my way, eliminate the criminals because there are criminals. And you have Tiger Bunny to respond like yeah, we're heroes, but we're not executioners. That's not the right thing. That's not our job. But they explain it so well, so interesting, that it's kind of hard to ignore, because what Tiger explains, if you do get rid of the head honcho, who is basically supposed to be killed because how terrible, unredeemable, if you do, you leave a power gap. And that's the question. If you do that, who else trying to take their spot? What kind of effect? And that's the thing that nobody really thinks about that much. And that's what's so interesting, because they show what will happen. They also show what's the best way to tackle it. Yeah, just enjoy that. That's very deep and interesting. But I love it even more. They go more psychological things, like all the heroes treated like superstars, but also treated like celebrities, like they're super famous, trying to sell ads. But Tiger, how he is sort of the old school kind of guy, like, I don't need this, I don't need to sell anything, because the work is my job and the pay they give me, because I love saving people, not selling CDs or Coke. And that is sort of interesting because you see the other heroes doing their job, you're just thinking, well, I need this, I need to sell this. But at the same time, you understand their point of view is because you need to points. And also, every single hero has a manager, and the manager hired them to go into Hero TV, and the manager have other people who run the company, who want results because you have their brand. And that is sort of difficult to maneuver because you understand them. You work so hard to get there. Instead of, should I don't sell it, should I do sell it? That's why I really enjoy Tiger. He's a very interesting type of character. How to describe Tiger? He is basically Naruto. He's not that smart, but he has his heart in the right place. He always tried to do it best. The only problem is Tiger is sort of past his prime. He's sort of struggling to keep up. He's not that popular anymore. He's sort of questioning, can I still do this? But I love it. That's why you have Bunny or Barnaby, that he was basically the rookie, the guy who has it all. He is basically the Bruce Wayne of this world, or in this case Sasuke, because he has that sort of high superior complex. He has one goal, to avenge his family. It's not a spoiler. That actually happens at the very beginning. You understand why he's sort of stuck up, why he's sort of calculated. But it's so interesting is how both characters clash into ideals. What should you do, should not do? Especially, you should stop thinking and act, or think before you act. And that's sort of the question. You actually force the two characters to work together, because the ideas of the heroines is so different, and sort of the power gap of age of someone who have training mental state and want to do this also, but at the same time wisdom comes first before being rash. And I love that sort of hit and miss ideas. It's just so fascinating. It's one of those shows has layer after layer after layer, and always trying to grab your attention in some interesting way. At least for the first season. Season 2, I'm about to talk about Season 2. But besides that, before I talk, I need to talk about also side characters. Besides Tiger and Bunny, how dynamic they're actually really interesting, because they keep hitting heads back and forth, because the ideas they have, how to maneuver things, that's just so interesting. But I hope to say they're sort of toxic a little bit, because they both want to do their job, but because how they both were raised and the situation what happened to them, you do understand how they both feel. But the only problem is I feel Tiger is carrying the partnership a little bit more, maybe because he's sort of older and wiser, and he thought that smart. I mean, my boy Tiger, he's not the smartest person in the room. He needs someone clever and smart like Bunny be next to him, pointing the things like, yeah, we must do this, Tiger. I mean, don't use your head. I mean, quite literally, the guy was using his head to break doors. So, yeah, the guy's not that smart, but you love the guy. He has passion. He understands what is the goal. But Barnaby, or aka Bunny, is the opposite. He's just so obsessive, getting the points to be the very top, because if you're a hero, you have to basically get the points, and that's the whole point of Hero TV, get the points, and that's how he focused on. He sort of become tunnel vision the situation he really is, especially he has that sort of Batman origin, like his parents was killed, he just want to avenge him and find the person who murdered his family. You get that, you understand that, but at the same time you need Tiger to cut him down a couple of times, how obsessive he became. And I think that's the only issue I have is Bunny. He became sort of a Sasuke kind of awful character for a little bit. They realize what they have, so they try to maneuver that the best way they can. But in the very end, they will accomplish that. Now let's talk about side characters. I think the first side character would be one of the heroes, would be Blue Rose. Yeah, I find her backstory a little interesting, that she wanted to be a singer, but because she was the next, they promised her to put her on Hero TV. It also helped her to promote her career of singing. Then when her career starts, she can let go of heroism. But that's a dilemma that she doesn't have her heart into it. And she's sort of stuck in between that, should I keep doing it or not doing it? Because my passion is singing, not heroism. And that you can really tell the very beginning of season 1 that she's sort of stuck in between. She has sort of a crush in Tiger. I thought that's sort of adorable, but even that she's a little bit too young for him. But once more, they don't do anything that far. It's just sort of adorable. But other than that, I found her a little fascinating that what she decides to be a hero, even that she really wants to be a singer, she's okay to be a hero because she likes it. Now, our next character will be Fire Emblem. And I'm not talking about the game, I'm not talking about the character I meant. And Fire Emblem, he is a type of character, could be stereotyping a gay character, but at the same time, they didn't do that on purpose because they wanted to basically support a gay character to show gay people are good. But at the same time, how they execute it, you just like, yeah, no. But at the same time, I realize what they're trying to do with this gay character, Fire Emblem. They want to make him their own Masaroshi. And that itself could be a bad idea because how people depict gay people back then, and you just like, yeah. But at the same time, their heart in the right place. They trying to make it the most positive way ever could. And he has his own company. Not like the other heroes, he's self-promoting. He is the top of his game. He doesn't need to be a number 1 chart. He just had to land number 4, number 5. He has everything. He also proud to be gay. And I thought that sort of fascinating, but the only problem is the sort of gay jokes, or not gay jokes, more sexual jokes they do, and you just like, yeah, I don't know if this character works or not. In fact, if you've seen Tiger and Bunny, what do you think about Fire Emblem? You think it's a successful gay character or not? Now, our next character is basically King Hero, and he's basically a number 1. How to describe him? He's basically the himbo of the whole group. I want to say he's the Superman himbo, that he always trying to be the best, he always corny, and you just enjoy him just be around being positive. But besides that, let's go to the next hero, Origami. Origami is basically not the rookie, he's sort of the loser of the group, but he's still very successful what he does, but he still sort of doesn't know what to do. Not because he's a rookie, it's that his power is sort of limited. He sort of basically copy people or copy eminent objects, and he doesn't feel that power is not very useful, but at the very end, it is useful. You show every time Origami shows himself, he's trying to save someone, his power does really work. But once more, it's sort of the situation he can get into. You can see, that's why I love this show. It sort of showed the mental breakdown as a character, because how great or what type of power he is, you see his mental breakdown. And I thought that sort of completely fascinating. Our next hero will be Bison, and him is basically the strong hero. He is basically the Superman, but doesn't have the charm. He's just basically a blockhead, but a very positive one. You could say he's a sort of the second himbo, but not really. He doesn't really qualify to be a himbo. But once more, this character doesn't really go that much in depth, but he has his moments to shine in the series. You sort of like him. He's a guy who willing to work with the team. He wants to work in the team. But once more, that's what I love about this show, that if the character doesn't really show his full personality, the little moments really show how they actually are. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Now, our next character is Dragon Kid, and her is basically sort of a cliche that she's basically one person who has lightning abilities, but at the same time she's a tomboy, and that sort of issue that can be more feminine or not, maybe because she's very young and got selected to be a hero TV, and she's that talented, and she doesn't know what she wants, and that makes her kind of fascinating, but at the same time a cliche. But once more, is how you execute that character make Dragon Kid kind of interesting. But besides that, let's go to our next hero called Lunatic. And it's kind of hard to describe him as a hero. He's more like an anti-hero. He's the one who go off the line that he's not in Hero TV, he does his own thing. But the interesting thing is why he has powers and why he want to kill people is actually very interesting, because he's sort of connected to the legend of Hero. That's basically, legend is a hero who basically created or helped produce a Hero TV. I won't go into detail how well he's connected, but when he shows his origin and why everybody respects the legend, everything just sort of surprises you, because the very end of this series has sort of a plot twist that I won't ruin, but it's something that's just amazing, because I did not see this coming. I mean, it was hinted at, but it's how the whole show is building at. You just don't actually realize what's gonna happen. It's something just so well made. It just so impresses you. But once more, Lunatic just wanna kill for a very personal reason. I just to say he's a very fascinating character. You just see him if you've seen the series. Let's talk about the villains of this series. You have two villains, at least on season 1, and both villains are very fascinating. For example, Jake, how to describe him, he's between Magneto and the Joker. In fact, there are points that I feel the voice actor who plays him could play the Joker. If you don't know who he is Steve Bloom's Spike Spiegel voice actor. Yeah, he made a great performance on this. I was not expecting that, but it's sort of interesting and disturbing why he does that. It's something that's sort of unpredictable, but you do understand why he's doing it. But once more, he's like telling the truth or just a psychopath. And that's why I felt sort of fascinating, but also point out all the kind of messed up things happen in the city, and you can see why people will follow this type of character, because he actually does speak in the truth, and he sort of tell of normies who basically abusing his own people, but at the same time he doesn't care because he's sort of a psychopath. And once more, this series knows how to make evil villains very interesting. Now, besides him, you also have the other villain called Magritte. Yeah, I don't want to say that much about this character because he does something you have to see yourself, because I don't want to completely ruin the whole show. Just leave it at this, that he is very interesting, and the things he does is sort of despicable, but at the same time very fascinating. What his point of view, kind of creating Hero TV. And put it this way, Hero TV is sort of very corrupted in a certain way. You could tell at the very beginning something's off, but once more, it's everything sort of do with Magritte. But after that, I won't say that much. Now let's talk about season 2 and the villains and the things they change. Now let's get started. One of the most fascinating things when happen is the partnership of Tiger and Bunny. It works so well, at least at their point of view, that they decide to partner up the rest of Hero with new partners or partners right next to them to see to boost their popularity. And officially, it worked for storytelling purposes, but the only problem, all the development of each partner, it kind of went side by side with each episode. It took about 3 to 4 episodes to understand each character and their kind of relationship of their partner. And that sort of hurts it, but the very end was successful at the very end because you actually cared about the partnership, you care about the characters, but at the same time, it depends which partner or which team member you really like. But if you don't like the partnership of the team, you probably feel a little boring because some of the characters do have chemistry, but the only problem is they try to sort of wholesome, but a little bit too much wholesome. Like each episode became sort of wholesome, trying to combine the characters to understand them. And that's the problem. You probably get a little bored because there is no action. But at the very end, it does pay off at the very end of the season. So it's something that sort of be patient because it will pay off. Now, anything else? Well, the new characters are very interesting. I think the first hero is basically Golden Rider. I think that's how you say his name. That he's sort of cocky, over the top. In fact, he actually showed himself in the sequel movie of Hero Rise. He basically left the job because someone get paid more, but some reason he returned back. They don't really explain that much, so I don't know if the movies are canon or not canon. I think they are. They just sort of maybe forgot. I really don't know. But Golden Rider is a very interesting character, especially he paired up to Blue Rose because their personalities do not mix so well. That means they actually are very entertaining because they keep clashing because Golden Rider is basically a diva. But I enjoy him. He's just so full of himself, so sensitive at the same time, and he doesn't know how to take criticism. You just find him fascinating. This guy just so big and large and just a diva. It's just so entertaining. Now you also have the other characters like the team of Mr. Black and Thomas. They're complete opposites like every else, but make him interesting is Mr. Black is sort of in the line of panicking, loses his job, and his partner Thomas is just sort of quiet and silent, but he knows what he's doing. But at the same time, he's sort of cocky because he doesn't trust no one. He knows he can handle himself, but at the same time, it's not a good idea to do that because at the very end, you do need to communicate with other people, especially with your partner, especially if this is your career. And he's sort of kind of blindsided because he needs to do this. He is the best, and you see the results because usually he screws up or sometimes he's not, depends how the story goes. But once more, it's sort of interesting to see what happens if you don't communicate with your partner. It just goes completely a disaster. Now our next couple or new team member will probably be Magic Girl Kitty, if her name is correctly. She paired up with Dragon Kid, and that's basically older sister relationship in a way. But the only problem is Magic Girl Kitty, she sort of doesn't know what she's doing. She's sort of a little bit too young for the job, but at the same time she's very talented. But at the same time, her emotions doesn't really help her in the job because she doesn't know how to control her emotions with her power. And at the same time, you have a mother helicopter there that she keep pushing her, do not trust your teammates. And you can see her just sort of falling apart doing basically her job. And Dragon Kid trying to help her out, but at the same time doesn't know how to talk to her. What's more, it's sort of a mess, but at the same time you see Magical Kitty to come out on top downwards. Yeah, glad she sort of developed that sort of confidence she really needs. Once more, her storyline with Dragon Kid was sort of slow, but at the end it just sort of delivered end of the series. Now our next team members will probably be Sky King and Fire Emblem. That I was sort of surprised they paired these two characters, especially what they did with Fire Emblem, because last season in the movies he kind of made them sort of a gay stereotype, but they made him sort of a Masaroshi sort of clone. But they realized that was sort of a bad idea and decided just to develop the character. Yeah, I'm glad, especially with Sky King. Both of them are just so happy together and complement each other. They're basically the perfect team, but a little bit too perfect. Yeah, that was sort of the problem with the team. Yeah, I just enjoyed that because they didn't want to piss off the other one, and you see this sort of, we need to be perfect and we about to be breaking down because we cannot communicate because we are scared to talk to each other. Yeah, I found that sort of fascinating. Now our next team members will probably be Rock Bison and Origami. This two pairing was sort of surprising, but it worked because Rock Bison was a big, kind of a rejected himbo, but he's not really a himbo. He's a blockhead. He's loud, screams, he's passionate, but at the same time, he doesn't really match with Origami. He's sort of quiet and sort of doubting himself. But look how they develop the relationship, how they don't know how to talk to each other. I mean, they're probably the teammates are the most awkward to talk to each other because how different they are. I mean, they're extremely so different and difficult to talk to each other. It's sort of shocking how fast this partnership broke down, and I can see this is sort of very interesting. But at the very end, they did understand how to communicate themselves, how to kind of pip themselves out. But I did enjoy the ride, how they developed the two characters, especially Rock Bison. He needed the most development, and I'm glad he got it. Funnier team member will probably be the original team members, Bunny and Tiger. And their relationship became sort of like an old marriage. They know everything in each other. They just keep screaming, angry, violate each other. It's just so entertaining to see two partners doesn't give a damn of what they think of each other anymore. And they were forgetting themselves. Yeah, I think that's why it's so fascinating enjoyment this was to see both seasons and the movie, their development growing so well and so violently. But at the end, they still love each other like bros. No, the villains of this series was sort of shocking, interesting, but at the very beginning started kind of boring. Like, the two main villains are siblings. Well, I thought they were twins. They called themselves the emo brothers or something like that. How they tagged themselves. The emo brothers were sort of cliche evil villains. Like, oh my god, we're messed up, evil, twisted. But I love it. They started to develop, or at least giving a reason why they're sort of messed up, how people treat them, and the reason why they're trying to kill heroes is because of their adopted father. They do everything for him, but you think, oh, their dad is sort of messed up. No, they actually have kind of a positive relationship. They want them to be happy, but at the same time, the father inside the organization Ouroboros, if I didn't mention them the first season, it's because Ouroboros is sort of a connection of other evil organization. We don't know who they are, what they look like, but they have connection all over the city. And their father is connected to them. He's basically a pawn to use their own brothers to do the evil things. But I feel they got very interesting. It's not focusing the organization. They focus on the relations of the brothers and their father. The reason why they doing this and how what happened to the very end. I won't ruin it what happened, but god damn, that was a really good ending. I just leave it at that. Especially the brothers' special abilities, what they have, how dangerous. They became sort of like a Saw type of characters. They just play with the heroes and mess with them because they are 10 times powerful than them, but how they play around with them, how they took one by one, took their time to the very end, they got sort of frustrating. Especially how their mental state acting like 3-year-olds, especially they're, I think 20, I guess, or 18, but act like kind of like 3-year-olds. And that's sort of kind of disturbing, sad, because how people treat them. And once more, this season, I thought it was sort of a bust, but the very end, they deliver. And I hope they do come out the next season, but I don't know if they did. They just wait for 3 months to come out, or they have to wait another 3 or 4 years. I don't know, but I did have my good time watching this season. Even they took a long time to get there, it was completely worth it. Now I have one question. Do you like season 2 or season 1? Or you heard of this franchise? Because this franchise canon is always on spot, because they try to completely give you everything. There is no magical powers, no este machina. If a character is hurting, you can't fix them, you cannot fix them. And yet that's the thing what I enjoy, especially how slow it starts, but it's one of the series is completely worth watching to the beginning to the very end, because it does pay off. Now I got really nothing else to say, just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.